WADR, promoting dialogue.
It's May Day in Dakar, 1 o'clock in Cotonou. Good afternoon and many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and worldwide on WADR.org. Welcome to Newslink. Here are the top stories. The Nigerian army neutralizes several insurgents and dismantled their camps in the northwestern state of Sokoto and Kebbi. The Ivorian government dismisses administrative and military officials over the illegal export of agricultural products.
Following the investigations carried out in the context of the Cocoa League to a border country, a number of people in the administration were relieved of their duties.
Mixed reactions trail Niger's new measure to regulate foreigners' residential status, and Liberian President Boakai unveils his government's 5-year strategic development agenda.
We must address the realities of corruption, inadequate infrastructure, and limited access to education and healthcare, aligning with global frameworks to ensure a holistic, sustainable, and inclusive approach.
Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
Here is Augustine Coley with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining us and welcome to our listeners within and outside the sub-region. We begin in Nigeria, where the Nigerian army, as part of Operation Fansan Yamma, has intensified its efforts to combat terrorism in the northwest region of the country, delivering a significant setback to armed groups operating in Sokoto and Kebbi states. In coordinated operations across multiple local government areas in these northwestern states, troops neutralized over 20 terrorists, dismantled their camps, and disrupted their activities. WADR's Usman Umar in Abuja has more in this report.
According to Zagazola, a security and counterinsurgency media network, the affected local government areas include Tangaza, Gudu, Binji, and Silami in Sokoto, as well as Oji, Ariwa, Arugungu, and Dandi in Kebbi. The media network stated on its X account that in Sarmaruga, intense firefights resulted in the deaths of 20 militants. The troops also destroyed weapons, camps, and logistical supplies that had been abandoned by fleeing fighters. One significant achievement was the liberation of Manja village, which had been deserted for 4 years due to banditry. Residents have, however, started to return to their homes, expressing relief and gratitude for the military's intervention. Meanwhile, Hamza Suleiman, a security expert, commented on the situation, stating that the operations provide a morale boost for soldiers, but cautioned that the broader fight against insurgency, banditry, and kidnapping is still ongoing.
Successes on the battlefield is always a motivational factor for soldiers, encouraging them to remain resolute in their mission. And of course, it also showcases the effectiveness of the preparedness, reinforcing the belief that their fight is paying off. And whether this will result to the end of terrorism, no, of course. As you are aware, is an asymmetric warfare. Peace is gradually returning to their community, but you cannot say that it is the end of terrorism because we are also dealing with it, which is the cross-border challenges. Many terrorist groups operate across the borders, requiring collaborative effort of neighboring countries to ensure comprehensive approach. And of course, addressing the underlying causes, for example, the poverty, the unemployment, and of course, the ideological indoctrination.
The Army's action aimed to restore peace in the region as part of a larger effort to stabilize affected communities and enhance security along Nigeria's border regions. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Usman Umar reporting from Abuja.
Crossing over to the Sahel in Niger, the transitional government has instituted a new regulation concerning the entry and residency of foreigners in the country. Foreigners are now required to present valid travel documents upon entering Niger and must obtain residence permits if they wish to live there. This regulation was established through a decree signed by Niger's transitional President General Abdurrahman Chiani, and penalties will be enforced for individuals who do not comply with this new measure. However, there are mixed reactions in Niamey, with some foreign residents seeking greater clarification regarding the implications of this new regulation. Meanwhile, mediation efforts aimed at reintegrating Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger into the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, appear to be on the verge of failure. This follows a confirmation by Dr. Omar Aliyu Touré, president of the ECOWAS Commission, that Mali will officially withdraw from the regional organization on January 29 this year. In an official statement dated January 13, 2025, Dr. Touré specified that the Commission will begin the necessary steps to formalize this withdrawal on January 29. The ECOWAS Commission President also proposed a meeting between the technical teams of both parties to discuss the terms of the separation. Abdullahi Hassan has the details in this report.
The proposed technical meeting between both parties will focus on practical modalities, particularly regarding economic and security issues. While the date for this meeting will be determined after further consultation, according to ECOWAS Commission, experts are expressing concerns about the economic impact that Mali's withdrawal will have on intra-regional trade and access to community funding. Moreover, some experts believe that Mali's withdrawal from the regional bloc will weaken security coordination in the fight against terrorism in the Sahel region. As a reminder, the process leading to this situation began in January 2024 when Mali announced its withdrawal from ECOWAS after years of strained relations characterized by economic and diplomatic sanctions. This decision was further solidified by the establishment of the Alliance of Sahel States AES in September 2024, which includes Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger, positioned as an alternative to ECOWAS influence. Although the regional bloc granted the AES 6 months to organize the implementation of this separation, Senegalese President Bassirou Diomaye Faye, who has been designated to facilitate mediation efforts, is expected to visit the AES member states to encourage reconciliation.
Abdullahi Hassan fight that report. In Benin, there have been changes to the charges against businessman Olivier Boko and former minister Oxwal Humeke in the attempted coup d'etat case. Initially, the accused were held in custody for conspiracy against state security, money laundering and corruption of a public official. However, the Court for the Repression of Economic and Financial Offences has made some slight modifications to the charges. At the moment, various parties are currently preparing for this highly anticipated trial, which is scheduled for January 21 this year. Christopher Atichu has the details.
According to media sources, the Court for the Repression of Economic Offences and Terrorism, CRET, has dropped the charge of money laundering. At the same time, the charge of conspiracy against state security has been reclassified, as the CRET now refers to it as conspiracy against state authority. However, the three offences currently remain are conspiracy against state authority, corruption of public officials, and the use of false certificates. It is important to note that Olivier Boko and Oswald Humeke are not the only defendants in the case, as 4 other individuals are also under prosecution. These individuals include Roch Sari Salvin Nieri, who is the brother-in-law of Olivier Boko and is currently on the run. Ajebekum Elilio Kuwa Njebeken Hokrepen, an accountant, Bagode Ahotonos Diogracias Cornelio, and Sanusi Ganyo, a driver for Oswald Humeke. Olivier Boko and Oswald Humeke were arrested during the 9th of September 23 of September 2024. The 2 main defendants are suspected of attempting to organize a coup d'etat in Benin. According to the prosecutor, the commander of the Republican Guard was allegedly promised a sum of 1.5 billion CFA francs to implement this plan. The magistrate presented images purportedly showing bags filled with money placed in the vehicle Additionally, a copy of an insurance form in the name of Commander of the Republican Guard was shown to journalists. The trial of Olivier Boko and Oswald Homeke will open on January 21, 2025.
Christopher, a teacher reporting there.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Let's take you to Guinea, where the case against former Prime Minister Dr. Ibrahima Kassore Fofana was taken up on Wednesday before the Court for the Repression of Economic and Financial Offences. The former Prime Minister, who served during the Alpha Conde's regime, was absent due to health issues, as stated by his lawyers. However, Judge Lassanan Suma, after noting the defendant's repeated absence, denied the request to transfer Dr. Fofana to an American hospital in Paris for medical treatment. The judge also ordered the conclusion of the debates in this case and announced that the requisitions and pleadings will commence on January 20 this year. Elsewhere in Cote d'Ivoire, several administrative and military officials in the western region of Selepu have been relieved of their duties. According to a statement from the Chief of Staff of the Ivorian Army, these officials were involved in exporting agricultural cash crops to a neighboring country without the government's knowledge. This situation arises at a time when Cote d'Ivoire has banned the export of certain cash crops within the sub-region to prevent a food crisis. Echiatisu has the details.
Operation Lock 322, aimed at combating the export of agricultural cash crops, was launched in October 2024. This operation, commanded by the Ivorian Armed Forces in collaboration with paramilitary forces, uncovered a vast network of fraudulent cocoa trafficking in the Sipulu area, which involved both administrative and military authorities. Amadou Koulibaly is a spokesman for the Ivorian government.
Following the investigations carried out in the context of the Cocoa Leak to a border country, a number of people in the administration were relieved of their duties. These include the prefect of the Department of Sipelu, the police commissioner, the head of the Easy Detachment, the commander of the Gendarmerie Brigade, and the head of the Customs Office.
Amadou Koulibaly also maintains that exporting raw materials to neighboring countries could negatively impact the economic growth of Cote d'Ivoire.
There is a regular leakage of our raw materials, coffee, cocoa, but also cashew nuts. And it goes even further, since you must have followed that there was a ban on the export of cotton seeds because cotton seeds were also trafficked. The government has decided to protect our borders against this leakage of our raw materials because each fraudulent exploitation is a loss of currency of our country.
Meanwhile, a statement from the Ivorian Army General Staff published on Tuesday indicated that investigations are ongoing to dismantle all trafficking networks across the country. The authorities are calling for responsibility and civic commitment from all stakeholders to help safeguard the Ivorian economy.
Abidjan correspondent Albin Aded's report, voiced by Echiatisu. Meanwhile, the Ivorian government has arrested Alain Traoré, a Burkinabe influencer residing in Cote d'Ivoire. Alain Traoré, also known as Alino Faso, had been missing since January 10 this year. He was confirmed to be in custody on Wednesday after the Council of Ministers. Elsewhere, the Gambian police force has clarified that the national road clearing operation is not a witch hunting exercise, despite concerns from road users and residents. This statement follows the launch of the second phase of the operation on Wednesday. According to the Gambian police authorities, the purpose of the national road clearing exercise is to enhance public safety, protect the environment, and improve traffic flow. WADR's Banjul correspondent Sankule Janko reports.
The Gambia Police Force, in a public notice issued on Tuesday, says it has entered the most decisive phase of Operation Clear Public Highways and Roads. This exercise, since its first phase, does not go down well with vendors and individuals occupying public spaces and streets. However, speaking on Wednesday, the first day of the second phase of the operation, Police Public Relations Officer Modu Musa Sisao says the operation is not a witch hunt.
The purpose of this exercise is not a witch hunt on anybody, because at the end of the day, these are our mothers, our sisters, and our uncles, and these are the youth. But it was recognized that there is need for this, for the maintenance of peace, for the maintenance of security, and additionally for the environment. We have realized that there has been a lot of environmental sanitation issue around the markets on the road, and it is very important that as a country we work together in ensuring that we are able to provide a conducive environment for our population to live, survive, do businesses.
Despite public warning since last year, compliance remains unacceptably low according to the police. The non-compliance, the police PRO says, continues to endanger public safety, disrupt traffic flow, and create unnecessary hazards for road users.
All of this is towards ensuring that our traffic, because there has been complaint many times when you are coming to work. I have always said this, from Dakar to Banjul, it takes you almost 2 hours when it should just be within 30 to 45 minutes. At the end of the day, we don't also want to be coming and causing chaos in the market, women running away. These are our mothers, these are our sisters, and they are working towards providing food for the family. We want them just to be seated and do their business peacefully and get their money and go back home and take care of family.
According to the Gambia Police Force, non-compliance will result in a series of consequences. Some of these include immediate eviction from the occupied space, seizure of goods and properties found in violation of the law, and prosecution with penalties including fines, confiscation of items and other legal sanctions. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, I am Sankule Jenka reporting from Banjul.
You are listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Here is a reminder of our top stories. The Nigerian army neutralizes several insurgents and dismantled their camps in the northwestern state of Sokoto and Kebbi. The Ivorian government dismisses administrative and military officials over the illegal export of agricultural products. Mixed reactions trail Niger's new measure to regulate foreigners' residential status. Still ahead in the news, Liberian President Boakai unveils his government's 5-year strategic development agenda. We also have a press review, guest interview, and sports news. Please stay with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Thank you for staying with us. We are also streaming live on YouTube at WADR News and on Facebook, WADR English Service. Now, before going to Liberia, let's make a stop in Ghana, where Malian Prime Minister Abdoulaye Maiga has arrived for a state visit aimed at strengthening bilateral ties between the two West African nations. He was received at the airport by the legal advisor to the president, Marietta Ejewabru, the National Security Advisor Prosper Bani, and other government officials. Here is an extract of Prime Minister Maiga's statement upon his arrival.
On behalf of His Excellency Assimi Goita, Army General, President of the Transition, Head of State and Mali, we have the honor to be here tonight in Accra, Ghana. We have a message from our President, and this message is intended for his brother, His Excellency President Dramani Mahama. President Dramani Mahama was invested on January 7, 2025. In view, of course, of the excellent relationship between Mali and Ghana, it is quite normal, first of all, to wish good luck to the newly invested and democratically elected President of Ghana. We wish the good God to accompany him in this rich and accelerating program. For the moment, I prefer to keep it here, and as I said, we are bearers of a message that is intended first and foremost to His Excellency the President of the Republic of Ghana.
Malian Prime Minister Abdoulaye Maiga. Now, Liberian President Joseph Boakai officially launched his government's agenda for inclusive development, along with the 15 counties development programs. The historic event occurred Wednesday in Buchanan, Grand-Bassa County, marking a significant advancement in Liberia's national development journey. Here is President Boakai speaking.
We must address the realities of corruption, inadequate infrastructure, and limited access to education and healthcare. The OID confront these challenges directly, aligning with global frameworks such as the Sustainable Development Goals, Africa's Agenda 2063, and ECOWAS Vision 2050 to ensure a holistic, sustainable, and inclusive approach.
Liberian President Joseph Boakai is still in Liberia because lawyers representing Thomas Edric, the main suspect linked to the arson attack on the nation's parliament, have termed his arrest and subsequent detention as a human rights violation. Currently, Thomas Edric, a staff in the office of the Embattled Speaker Funati Kofa, is facing criminal charges as the prime suspect in this incident. However, during an interview with WADR on Wednesday, Councillor Jonathan Masakwe, the lead lawyer for Thomas Edric, described the arrest as kidnapping and a violation of his human rights. We will bring you details in the later part of this news.
This is the newspaper review. Stay abreast and find out what the top stories are in your country.
This is the newspaper review.
The newspaper review.
Well, let's head back to the Ghanaian capital, Accra, and join Nade Titi for the press review.
Greetings. We'll start off with the Daily Graphic newspaper. The front page: elect MMDCEs on partisan lines, experts advocate. Avoiding fuel shortage, WAPCO delays pipeline cleaning and convert petroleum margins to taxes, ASAP urges government. Now to the Ghanaian Times newspaper front page: President names security capos, Prosper Bani, Charles Kipo, Kofi Boache and Razak occupy top positions. Also on the front page: exercise restraint, President appeals to trouble sports as he pays a visit to Boko. To the Chronicle newspaper front page: court orders retrieval of child from unlawful detention by mother and vetting of ministers, chairman shielding Mohammed's nominees from proper scrutiny, minority alleges. Also here, Boko conflicts, Mahama buckles down, visits Nairi and Otunfo is next. Now to the Crusading Guide front page: NPP rejects oral, minority urges former officials to snap invitations. Court orders CID and Immigration and Social Welfare to stop woman from traveling with minor. IMF hails Akufo-Addo's economic record. The final paper I have here is a Daily Post newspaper front page. Mahama names national security capos. And finally, Mahama recalls diplomatic passports issued by previous governments for verification. That's it for the newspaper review segment. It's back to you.
Thank you, Nade Titi, for the press review.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Let's take you back to Liberia, where lawyers representing Thomas Edric, the main suspect linked to the arson attack on the nation's parliament, have termed his arrest and subsequent detention as a human rights violation. On December 18, 2024, residents of Liberia's capital, Monrovia, awoke to thick black smoke and flames rising from the parliament building, which destroyed the joint chambers of the legislature. Our guest is Councillor Jonathan Masakwe, the lead lawyer for Thomas Edric, the main suspect.
The lawyers of Thomas Edric, including me, had alleged in a petition for the raid of habeas corpus that he was tortured because he had informed us, the lawyer, that the men supposed to be members of the National Security Agency had insinuated to him that they were going to torture him. And indeed, they took him away by 11 p.m. in the night. That was against his fundamental right. He rights to a lawyer, the right to be represented by a lawyer at every stage of the criminal proceeding.
But your client has been accused of being the prime suspect of the burning of the national parliament. Has he confided in you that he did it or not?
He told me he didn't do it, and based on all the information that I got from him, the statement that he gave the police, and the statement was clear. So there's no such insinuation that he was involved with any prior incident. That's not the case.
How do you intend to plead for your client, especially when he is a staff in the office of the Embattled Speaker, who is at the center of controversy at the Liberian legislature?
So the Liberia should be a country of law, right? And so there should be strict adherence to the rule of law. So there is a principle on our law that the accused, the suspect, or the defendant is presumed innocent until the contrary proof. And there's also a mass in the law that says that one who alleges has the burden of proof. So the state, the government, the state security, the Ministry of Justice, they have the burden of proof. The onus is on the shoulder to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Thomas Edric is the perpetrator or the doer of the arson attack on the Capitol building, because that the Liberia National Police, especially so the Inspector General, Gregory Como, is on record. He has announced to the general public that the matter now is now criminal. And arson has been criminalized under the penal law of Liberia. That's section 15.1, subsection A and B of the penal law of Liberia. So that's a violation of our laws, but they have the burden of proof. So they have to come clear and produce all of the evidence necessary to convict Thomas Edris and other guilty of the crime charge. His relationship with the Speaker of the 55th Legislature has absolutely nothing to the allegation of arson as being alleged by the Inspector General of the Liberia National Police, because there is a strong mark in the law that crimes are not transferable. So if you hold in Thomas Edris and others responsible for the arson attack, you cannot transfer that criminal offense to the Speaker. If you want to do that, you have to show the causal connection to hold him responsible.
You just heard Councillor Jonathan Masakwe, the lead lawyer for Thomas Edris, the main suspect of the arson attack on Liberia's parliament. And here is Sankule Janko with sports.
Hello there, a warm welcome and thank you for joining us. The draw for the finals of the CAF African Nations Championship CHAN Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania 2024 was staged in Nairobi, Kenya on Wednesday, 15 January, and has delivered some exciting encounters for the tournament that will be played in August 2025. Kenya were the seeds as hosts in Group A and have been drawn with two-time winners Morocco and DR Congo, as well as Angola and Zambia in a pool packed with past champions and quality teams. Tanzania were seeds as hosts in Group B and will take on Madagascar, Mauritania, Burkina Faso and Central African Republic in their pool. Uganda were also seed as the other host in Group C and meet Niger, Guinea, Qualifier 1 and Qualifier 2, making this pool something of an unknown quantity. Defending champions Senegal are the top seeds in Group D, which is a four-time pool, and will face Congo, Sudan and Nigeria. That promises to be a very interesting one as Senegal look forward to facing Nigeria. Two teams must still book their places at the finals, with Algeria, Comoros, Gambia, Malawi, Egypt, South Africa and Gabon to take part in a qualification campaign to fill the slots in the draw for Qualifier 1 and Qualifier 2. The CHAN has had 7 previous editions and will played in East Africa for the first time since Rwanda were host in 2016. Morocco and Democratic Republic of Congo have each lifted the trophy twice before, along with Tunisia, Libya and defending champions Senegal. The tournament features only players who ply their trade in their domestic leagues and is a platform to showcase the quality of homegrown talent. It is a concept unique to Africa, and that's it for sports. It's back to you.
With that, we've come to the end of this edition of Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Mustafa Sek and Umun Danyogo for the technical support. Do interact with us via our social media platforms, X formerly Twitter, Instagram at WADR News, and on Facebook, WADR English Service. Coming up at the bottom of the hour is our environment program, Enviroscope. I am Augustine Cully. Good afternoon.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, Newmi FM 94.0,
Hilltop Radio 104.7 FM,
and